Okay. My live. Oh boy, let me see here. Okay. So, today I put up a question on my YouTube post saying, what video I should make, and then pretty much the most liked comment was by Uttraka Sharma. Can you tell us about mystical side of Rahu, which gives immense wealth and fame to a person? So, first of all, there's no mystical side to Rahu's ability to give big wealth. It does give big wealth. That's what its job is. That's what its duty is, actually, to give big wealth. See, when Rahu does things in a big way. Okay. Because you got to understand Rahu, and I was just having this discussion, I think 3 days ago, 4 days ago, in my group, with my astrologer friends. And literally, Rahu is the most intelligent planet out of all the Navgrahas. Okay? The Graha, that which moves. Rahu is the superior intelligence. Okay. And what is Rahu known as? What are Rahu Ketu known as? Yes, they're eclipse points. They represents our future and past. They represents the start. They represent the end. They represent the birth. They represent moksha. But what is something that they're known for in terms of their karkavasta? They are Shukra Mitra. Okay? Rahu and Ketu both are known as Shukra Mitra, meaning friends of Venus, friends of Shukra, because Venus was this teacher and guru that took all the rejected potentials from the Brahmins. It took whoever was rejected because of their family background, because of the way they looked, or they didn't do enough penance. Shukra's like, listen, you want to learn, you just come to me. So Shukra took in Rahu, Shukra took in Ketu, Shukra took in Shani. Okay. And this is why Shukra is actually one of the most powerful planets, especially when it comes to rituals, when it comes to tantric powers, when it comes to powers. It is Shukra, not Guru. So whenever you see some guru in India, let's say, who can make food appear in front of you, that is the gift of Shukra in their life. Okay. They are the students of Shukra. So because Rahu, which is the most intelligent, see, why is Rahu the most intelligent planet? See, you can't be an idiot off the street to sit among something as powerful as sun and moon and being able to dilute them, kind of like somebody posing as a defense minister and somehow walking their way into the White House when nobody ever can question them. And yet they themselves know they're nobody. They're just pretending. They're using their smart wits to get into the White House, to sit next to the president and be in the meeting. Okay. And then later on, people are like, who's this person? That requires planning. That requires sheer intelligence, street smarts. That's Rahu. And especially nowadays, everything is Rahu. You see this communication that we are doing right now, with you being able to listen to me live. We're back in the days, unless you were in some TV station and renting a airtime, you couldn't do live. This is the progress and the gift of Rahu. Now, yes, these gifts can be very drastically misused, but all of this is Rahu. Your smartphone, your live feature that you are right now experiencing, it's all Rahu. So how is it that Rahu, and the reason why it does everything big, it literally eclipses the biggest thing in our solar system, which is sun, Surya. Even Surya has to bow, okay, once a year to Rahu. So this is why Rahu is a kingmaker. If something that can eclipse the king, it can overshadow the king. Rahu is not the kingmaker, it's the emperor maker. But how does it do it? So, who are Shukra Mitras? Rahu, Ketu. That means Mitra of Rahu is Shukra. And then, what is the other thing that we know about Rahu? Rahu co-rules the sign of Aquarius in the Kal Purush Kundali. It controls the 11th house of desires. See, Shani ruling Aquarius represents activism. Aquarius is not really about desires, as you all say. It's about activism, social justice. Rahu is the one who says, okay, well, besides this, I'm also going to add my significance of desire, fulfillment of desires, because that's what I wanted in my life. I wanted to become one of the devas. And I understand the need of this world, what they need, what they want. And so my job is to fulfill their desire. Shani is different. Shani is work. And there's a big misconception about Shani too. Shani actually represents entertainment. Any outwardly life is Shani. All the actors and actresses, they're not like being shy and just never coming out after their movie comes out. No, once their movie comes out, they're out there promoting, doing interviews, coming to talk shows, coming into commercials. That's Shani. Shani is ruling the two of the most outwardly signs, Capricorn and Aquarius. Shani is exalted in the 7th house of public. Okay, and it's important. It's part of this segue into this Rahu scheme. Why it becomes important. So on one hand, you have a planet that rules your status, that rules your recognition and fame. That is Shani. Without Shani, you cannot become famous because Shani is public opinion. Unless the public likes you, wants you, needs you, only then you become like this quote-unquote celebrity and this famous person. This is why I've also said Vish Yoga. I just made a video on KRS vlogs this morning or yesterday. This morning, actually, on Vish Yoga. How people just put these miserable meanings of Vish Yoga, Saturn Moon conjunction. Oh my goodness, it's going to make the person feel miserable, depressed, this and that. They don't get it. Like most of the people in entertainment industry, most of the people in media will have Saturn Moon connection because Moon is fame. Moon is the one of the brightest luminaries. And you have Shani, the Karka of public, Karka of work. So now, Venus in the Kal Purush Kundali controls the 7th house of business, right? Of business, mainly because you got to understand, we always connect Venus, and this is the mistakes that I've made over and over again, and every best of the best astrologers have made. We always look for Venus as this pretty pink color princess. Libra, the Mul Trikon sign of Venus is black. It's a black color. Libra is more, Venus is more about justice, idealism, being an idealist, more than marriage. Okay, if you really want, you can leave marriage to Uppapada and Darakarka. But Venus is really about justice and making the right deal, proper deal. This is why Venus couldn't handle the fact that Guru rejected all these people and the Devas rejected these people. They're just like you. They want to exist in this universe. So Venus rules that. And then Venus rules the 2nd house of wealth and money from the original chart, from the original Kal Purush Kundali. Saturn rules the 10th and 11th house of your status and your gain of status, your fulfillment of desire, okay, along with Rahu. Saturn is exalted in the 7th house. Okay. So now, knowing these things, okay, knowing just these factors and then all the other factor, moon, don't forget the moon whenever you talk about Rahu. Why is it that? Because Rahu is the node of the moon. It's not node of the sun. It's not node of Jupiter. It's nodes of the moon. Moon is the mother of Rahu. Okay. We know Rahu had his own mother, Simika. I'm talking in more metaphorical terms. Moon is the mother of Rahu and Ketu. Moon is exalted where? 2nd house of wealth, money, sustenance, which is the nakshatra being ruled in Taurus of wealth and money. Rohini, right in the heart of Taurus. All the Artha houses are controlled by Moon. Remember that. The wealth and the work is Moon. So now, in order to see when Rahu gives a big wealth, is when Rahu makes a connection with Saturn, Venus, and Moon. When Rahu creates a connection with Saturn, Venus, Moon, you will see Rahu's capacity to give you wealth increases. That's the first category that we're putting it here. Second, who is the Karka of wealth in astrology, in Jyotish? It's Guru, it's Jupiter. Okay? Because Jupiter is the significator of the 2nd house, 5th house, 9th house, and 11th house. So what is the second category then becomes for a person to make big money? Is when Rahu is with the influence of Jupiter. That's the second. So when Rahu, because remember, Rahu Dasha becomes very confusing. A person usually will always feel lost in Rahu period. But when one goes through the Dasha of a planet connected with Rahu, especially planets like Saturn, Venus, Jupiter, Moon, this is when Rahu's capacity to give you immense wealth increases. And the way you will look at it is by conjunctions, okay? And by the 5-9 aspects that would occur of Rahu. Because Rahu has the 5th aspect and the 9th aspect. Now, see, there's a unique thing in astrology that when two planets are of the exact same degree, they will always aspect each other. Right? So if let's say Mars is in the 6th house at 5 degrees Virgo, and let's say Venus is in the 9th house in Sagittarius at 5 degrees Sagittarius, both Mars and Venus are looking at each other. But Rahu Ketu are always at exact same degree, looking exact same degree. This is why we always see some kind of a link happening between Rahu and Ketu. This is why it's actually one body, it's one entity, always working and churning the cycle. But the 5 and 9 axis from Rahu and Ketu, or especially Rahu, we're talking about Rahu here. When you will see either planets conjunct Rahu, or when Rahu is aspecting these particular planets, this is where the potential to gain wealth comes into play. That's the very first thing. Then, if you also just use common sense, all the nakshatras that occur in the earth signs, when they are activated through either Rahu, dispositor of Rahu, or planet that is being aspected by Rahu. Okay, this is where then you will see the concreteness of wealth becomes active. Why? Because wealth is earth, sustenance. Wealth, the reason for wealth to exist is so you can have sustenance. This is why earth signs will always represent wealth. Now, yes, in Vastu, it becomes different. In Vastu, we look at water as the element of wealth. And yes, I am preparing. Actually, I have my thing open for my Vastu course that I'm creating here. It's going to be about 8 lessons that I'm going to be creating probably maybe this month or next month to teach you. And this is not so you become some Vastu expert or consultant. No, this is for yourself, studies and self, improvement. This is for you to use Vastu in your own life. But I've found a quick way in the last 3-4 years of just experimenting in my own home and other people. I just pretty much found a quick way. So again, I'm digressing, but like I was saying, that in Vastu, water element represents wealth. Well, water element in Jyotish represents actually moksha, complete opposite of wealth, because all the moksha houses are controlled by water. So earth, the earth connection and Rahu becomes very important for wealth. Just like that, you will also see Moon, Venus, Saturn. When these 3 planets are in relationship with each other, that is also combinations for gains. See, with Rahu and Venus, it may show like huge gains at once. Somebody wins a lottery. Somebody wins big in some crypto and stock market. With Rahu, or I'm sorry, Saturn, Venus, Moon, it shows big gains, but through hard work. One will has to work, but they get the gains. Meaning, like for example, in I do so many readings of people in Silicon Valley with like IT sales, like how they're competing in different territories and trying to look for fight for like cloud computing clients, because they're all offering something with clouds and AI, and there's these different teams and territories and that. And it's funny, sometimes I'll get a competitor getting the reading from me, sometimes somebody else getting a reading. So it's like I found out so much about IT sales just from doing these readings. Okay, so it's kind of like that, like when they close a deal. Okay, just last month I had somebody who is in a process of wanting to close this deal, and if they close this deal, do you know they will get $300,000 commission? That's big money, but it takes 4 or 5 months of like back and forth, setting up meetings, setting up lawyers, this and that. So this is the combinations that are present, and this is why it actually is so important to do readings, on a daily basis. Because once you actually get people who are wealthy, I mean, people who are wealthy, who are making like 3-4 million a year. And when you look at their chart, first thing is you never even find anything related to exalted planets or debilitated planets. And then you start thinking, you start wondering, okay, is there something wrong with astrology, or is there an actual thing? And then you start understanding that, this is the combination that I'm seeing over and over again. Is this somehow combination of Rahu, Moon, Venus, Saturn, and then hint of Jupiter here and there? And you realize that, okay, so this connection is there, and these are the dashas that are always operating. Yet one thing I'll tell you, it's not the Rahu dasha. It is the planets that are somehow who are connected with Rahu. When their dasha occurs, Rahu enhances them. Because remember, Rahu is looking. The 5-9 aspect of Rahu is looking. So this is why in the dasha of those planets, those planets get enhanced more. Now, of course, you have to look at Navamsha, okay, to see first of all exactly how many places forward Rahu has gone in Navamsha. Is Rahu 8th place from itself? Is Rahu 6th from itself? Right? So if Rahu is in Capricorn in the birth chart, Rahu goes into Gemini in the Navamsha, or Rahu goes into Leo in the Navamsha. That makes a big difference in trying to understand, how much of a struggle or ease a person will gain wealth in and wealth from. Okay. Where, for example, if Rahu is in Taurus in your birth chart, goes into Aries in Navamsha, what is happening? Rahu is now moving 12th from itself. Rahu's moving 12th from itself, which means what? That this person's going to have to go to a faraway foreign place in order for their bhoga to take place. Bhoga is what? Bhoga, Rahu is a bhoga karka. It is the significator of your bhojan, your actual food that you get so you can fill yourself. Okay, Jupiter is jiva. Jupiter is just giving you this breath. So yes, with the breath, I can survive 3, 4, 5 days even without water and without food. But then after a while, I'm going to have the blessings of Rahu to get the bhog of the bhojan in order for me to now sustain myself with this breath. Okay, so first of all, yes, you look at the sign of how Rahu is placed in the Navamsha. And then you also want to see, is Rahu, again, making these connections with his best friends? See, that's the thing, it's the best friends mainly. And the mother, the parent, the moon. Even the moon is not the friend of Rahu, it is the the starter of the fire of Rahu, is the mother of Rahu, moon. And then you look at Karkavastha. See, when Rahu is with Mars, okay, Mars is the significator. First of all, it's the natural first house. Mars is a significator of the 3rd and 6th. So you will see with Rahu, Mars, unless this person struggles to a point of losing everything, only then the wealth comes in. Wealth comes. You know how you've heard those stories, right? Of billionaires and millionaires who said, I was almost homeless. I was just about to lose everything. And then this thing took off. And this is why today you are seeing them giving this interview. Because Mars becomes the karka of 3rd and 6th. 6th of struggles, fights, competition. 3rd of effort. So when that effort is put in and when they have struggled to the point of just completely losing, that's when this Mars-Rahu combination gives into play. So it becomes very important. Okay. So like you said, like for Aries ascendant, Rahu's in the 8th house in Anuradha Nakshatra, conjunct Venus and Mercury. So you will see in Venus Dasha. Okay. In Venus Dasha, this Rahu can literally glorify itself. And that too with a surprise and suddenly. Why? Because that's what 8th house is. 8th house is that shocking, sudden thing. And it's a surprise. But also, this is a good thing that you actually shared this with me. Look at the planets that are surrounding Rahu and influencing Rahu. That is going to be the way your wealth is going to be accumulated. The big wealth is going to be accumulated. So if Venus is there with Mercury, children and women will become a main contributor to your wealth. Meaning either your clients will be women, or maybe let's say you're a toy maker. You start selling toys. So who's your biggest client then? Children, little children. Mercury. This is how you want to see. If Jupiter is there with Rahu, okay, your Rahu's catalyst is going to be somehow teachers, gurus, counseling, advising, consulting, publishing, writing. That becomes the way this Rahu will enhance. Saturn and Mars, technology, technical skills, mechanics, including construction of things. With Mercury, if it's surrounded with Mercury, then languages and communication. If it's with Moon, then things like alcohol, breweries, liquids, travel becomes important. With Sun, it can either show government or it can even show an illusionary figure, meaning like a media personality, politician, somebody who says something else and does something else. So you want to see what is Rahu surrounded with to bring in that wealth. Okay. But like I said, if you want to know that big one, this entire live session is about the big one, the big way. Everybody has Rahu somewhere. Everybody's making money. Everybody's paying their bills. That wasn't the point of this particular live video. The point was who contributes to the big wealth, the mystical reason behind the big wealth of Rahu. Because when you think of big wealth, you have to take the name of Rahu first. And then, yes, Venus and Saturn come into play. And like I gave an example of Vish Yoga, right? People think it's a yoga of poverty, yoga of losing money. And when I've seen, because I've done readings of YouTubers, TikTokers, celebrities, and I see strong placement of Moon and Saturn together, their relationship. So how in the world they're like introvert personality and because if you're going to talk about depression and all of that, yeah, there's other combinations for that you see. But Saturn, Moon, they want to work. Because Moon is about money. It's the controlling the nakshatra of wealth in all the earth sign. Saturn, look at its exalted placement, look at its controllership of the houses. It's the most extroverted planet out there. So why is it that see again, Vish Yoga 6,000 years ago was something else. We're living in 2022, so let's update that. Okay. So that's my thing. See, Rahu Vargottama in a divisional chart, that's not how you can really study the true strength of Rahu. You may study the strength of planets, the physical planets, but Rahu can really seriously misguide you, in terms of how and when the wealth comes into play. It's not so much about Vargottama, it's mostly about the relationship and connection Rahu is making, because that's how Rahu will survive. Okay. Because the only way we know Rahu is when Rahu takes over the sun. Otherwise, we don't see Rahu at all. It's only when the moment of eclipse happens, meaning Rahu needs support of two planets, sun and moon, for itself to show up. So never think that just Vargottama Rahu by itself is going to give everything. No, it has to have a relationship. It has to have a relationship with one of these planets. Okay. So hopefully this has helped. And like I said, yes, I apologize. That Saturn third house video on my KRS vlogs, I will make it. I promise I will make it today before I go to sleep. Okay. Because there's certain way to understand the Saturn's third aspect. Okay. Which is very simple, and I've already made a video of Venus and Saturn like that. But you will see how I show the Saturn third aspect and how it takes place on my Academy on KRS vlogs. And then, of course, give me about a month or so, and then I will have the quick Vastu lesson done for your own benefits and for your own, because especially knowing economy and everything, I'm sure everybody wants to improve their lives. So that's why I'm just going to do this quick one. All right. So ladies and gentlemen, tab tak ke liye aage dijiye. Namaskar. Sayonara. Okay, sat sri akal. Bye-bye.